All right. It's been a minute. We are back with another popping episode. This is episode 54 of Pop Talk. How y'all doing? This is your man, Professor Nims. I'm signing on for Coach Dave. Bosston Jarrod.
Peace.
And the casual Rand. So we won't bore you with all of the pre-fight pleasantries. We want to jump right into the content. We know how you like it nice and succinct. So let's start off with this weekend's past event and the massacre of your boy Caleb Plant.
Man, I don't know if I called all that.
Well, no, I'm poking fun at Fuji, your favorite fight fan, because he was he swore that I think he even thought that Plant was going to be able to stop Benavidez, and yeah, I mean that's what he said. But I got me a nice lobster dinner coming, on that bet. But we'll
jump. Who bet you that Plant was going to win? Fuji bet you?
Yeah, Fuji bet me. Yeah.
Oh, come
Fuji
on.
was talking junk. Fuji was hitting me. Because one thing I will say is that when it came to the press conferences and the stare downs and all those, and even with the weigh-in, I thought Caleb Plant had clearly won, we can call that round zero. Because
he talks a good one, don't he? He did.
He started slow, but he by time the face-offs and press conferences and weigh-ins, he was on his shit.
Yeah, he was mocking him for like reading off of the thing. He even got in his face, put his finger in his head. So I thought that
he put his finger right in his neck.
Yeah, in his neck. And then as a counter puncher, what you want is somebody to be, kind of upset, fighting, out of their natural thing. But Benavidez is he was born to box, right? The guy was like, as soon as he was able to simmer like Mayweather, as soon as he was able to really kind of walk, his father, had intentions of him boxing. And even though he did use it to lose, you saw he was up to, like, as a kid, like over 207 pounds. But we'll start like with
300 pounds or some shit like that. So
but we'll start with Bosston Jarrod.
How did y'all score? So what? We weren't able to do a prediction video, but we had talked. This fight has been in the makings for a while. I think we might even have some content that predates our hiatus when we talked about this fight. My prediction going into this fight was that David Benavidez was going to the pressure was going to be too much. The forward movement and the punch volume, the output, I thought was going to be too much for Caleb Plant to deal with over the course of 12 rounds. Now, the one thing I did mention, the one thing I had been telling people, if you go back and you watch that Jarrod Hurd fight, and I bring up Jarrod Hurd because Breadman Edwards was the coach for J-Rock for that fight. Hurd, similar to Benavidez, was a pressure guy. And the way that J-Rock kind of diffused Jarrod Hurd was he didn't get on his back foot. He met Jarrod Hurd in the center of the ring, and he maintained the center. He was able to control the real estate, control that distance. He didn't let Jarrod Hurd get going downhill. And he was able to utilize a lot of really, really slick inside work, a lot of underhooks, overhooks, arm drags, and strategic clinching in order to neutralize Jarrod Hurd. I was so confident that Breadman Edwards was going to be able to implement that, or have Caleb Plant implement that, especially given the fact that Caleb Plant has a kickboxing background. I said, oh, there's no way he's not going to be in there clinching, tying up. Now, he did do a lot of holding, which
yeah, but not effective holding.
No, not at all.
I mean, why would you think kickboxing? That's like, kickboxers are in grapplers.
Absolutely, they are. Kickboxing, grappling is an essential part of kickboxing. That's underhooks, overhooks, neckties, all that stuff is essential.
I thought that was Muay Thai. I mean, kickboxers are just
okay. All right. Well, sorry. We want to be super technical here. Okay. Muay Thai. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, we want to be super technical. Muay Thai. Anyway, I didn't see any sort of scenario where if Caleb Plant got on his back foot and jumped around the outside of the ring, that he was going to be able to last 12 rounds. I thought he was going to have to meet Caleb Benavidez, get respect right away, put his forehead in Benavidez's neck and in his chest, and not let him come forward. And I saw in round, as soon as the fight started, man, the guy's on his bike. He was able to do some good stuff early. He was able to be effective. He really frustrated Benavidez early. And I gave Plant rounds 1, 2, 4, and 5. After that, it was all downhill. I think I had round 6 as a swing round, but
so you gave him 4 the first 5 rounds.
Yeah. I gave Plant 4 the first 5 rounds. Absolutely. I thought Benavidez came out and did not look good at all. The other thing I'll point out, because I don't want to take up too much time, because I know we trying to do an abridged show tonight. Benavidez is not the big, physical, strong guy that I thought he was. And Randy pointed out, Randy sent a text out as soon as the fight started and said, wow, Caleb Plant looked huge. And I immediately texted back to Randy and said, nah, Benavidez has been fighting little guys. Benavidez has been guys like Kyron Davis and David Lemieux. All those guys were blown up 160 pounders. This is the first time he's been in the ring with a guy that's a full-fledged 168 pounder. And he looked really shaky the first 4, 5 rounds of the fight.
Shaky. He's always been a slow starter.
Maybe like a slow start.
But he didn't look sharp. I was going to ask Dave what he thought. He just didn't look sharp. He was swinging wild. He looked very concerned about Plant's power. Plant was able to, inadvertently, I guess, was able to get Benavidez respect because he was very leery about coming forward in the first 5 or 6 rounds of the fight. Anyway, go to somebody else. I don't want to.
Yeah, Coach, what's your take on that?
So well, first of all, I mean, I think, wow, man, I think that, well, first of all, I had picked him to stop Plant like in the 9th round. I think Jarrod too, man. You know, nothing was wrong. Benavidez, I'm telling you, is going to it's going to be hell to beat this boy. All right. So what you saw, and all the things that you said, looking shaky, not looking right, you just saw a young fighter who was anxious. And let me tell you, I still think if Benavidez would have got behind that damn jab like he will need to do against Canelo, he would have stopped damn Plant way early. He would have stopped Plant way early. You saw a young man that was anxious. You saw a man that you know, didn't cut the ring off using the jab. He was more so just chasing Plant. And that's just a young, anxious, maybe a little bit more experience, maybe something that needs to learn. But make no mistake about it. Let me be crystal clear. When Benavidez get behind that damn jab, and then, you know, use that jab to close the distance to get on the inside and do his damage, any fighter in 168 is going to have hell trying to beat that boy. You know, and now about the size stuff, his size is his size. That's a big boy. Weight bully, whatever Randy, you know, casual one used to call it. He a big dude, man. And but here's the thing that Caleb did well. I don't agree with you saying about Caleb Plant need to put his head in Benavidez's chest and try. Plant did the best when he was working that jab and moving and stealing a couple of punches. Plant did the best. He should have fought an aggressive survival type fight and stayed long with that joker. But in terms of that 168 pound, I don't care who you are. If he is working behind that jab and using that skill on the inside, this dude gonna beat anybody in that damn division. Canelo, Charlo, Morrell, it's gonna be hell to stop, man.
Wow, so he brought up Morrell. I would love to see that. But I mean, I would agree, even though, you know, technical stuff aside, I do think that even though Caleb Plant, he does his best work from the outside. He was, probably the better technique. I wouldn't say necessarily more skill, but just the better technique. But at the same time, you have to, that's a train, and you have to kind of stop that momentum. So effective grappling and tying them up, and even what you talked about the fight. I forgot. Was it
With J-Rock and Hurd?
Yeah, J-Rock and Hurd. But I always go back to Sugar Shane against Antonio Margarito, where he would tie up Margarito and then walk him to the center of the ring, and then that way he would have to kind of start, start back over. And that's what I was saying, that if Plant could do that and be effective, but because grappling and tying up is a skill, if you do it well. And I didn't think he was able to do that. And then so even though he was winning the early rounds, he was still taking that punishment. And then, so that takes a little bit of, air out the tire. What say you, the casual one?
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things, like, going into the fight that gave me a little bit of optimism for Plant was, like, the pre-fight photos of Benavidez looked like he was, like, weight drained. I mean, he was looking, sometimes some of those photos looked like he was skeletal, especially when he had his hair out. I was like, oh, he just looked horrible.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I was hoping that
very prominent. Yeah.
So I was like, maybe he got weight. He's getting weight drained. So maybe Plant may have a chance. And then when they was talking about the 22-foot ring, I was like, all right, so Plant's gonna dance around the ring, hit, move. But like you said, Professor, like, when he did clinch, he didn't clinch like intelligently. I mean, and give credit to Benavidez, because Benavidez threw some haymakers in the clinch. He was heavy fisted in the clinch and rocked Plant a few times in the clinch, and then he tried to dirty it up. I'm like, but I understand that if you're gonna hold me, you know what I'm saying, that which is illegal, he was shooting them elbows left and right. You know what I mean? Like, the first 5 rounds, Plant got hit probably like 6 or 7 times with elbows when Plant was trying to push him off of him. But everybody, even the announcers, was pointing out that, like, look, man, that style that Plant was giving gave out against Canelo. I mean, he was winning the dance around fight when he was moving, but then when he got touched in the later rounds, he got knocked out. Same format. He was winning the early rounds. Benavidez was known for starting slow, but when he got touched and slowed down, he didn't once he was starting the dog fight from the 6th to 7th round, when it showed that he was in the dog fight, he didn't have enough in his tank, and he didn't have enough power to push Benavidez back.
Dave, go ahead, my fault, man. So Dave, let me ask you, so in preparing a guy like Caleb Plant for a fight with a guy like Benavidez, you would encourage Plant to use his legs and use the outside of the ring the way he did? You wouldn't encourage him to go meet Benavidez in the center of the ring and get respect right away?
Nah, man, he can fight him from the center of the ring, but he can fight him from the center of the ring still on that jab, what we call turning on a dime. You know what I'm saying?
I got you, right. Okay.
Yeah, just in a second. But look, man, you don't want to get up in it. Plant cannot beat that boy on the inside, bro. It just that's been.
Yeah, but you don't you want to push him back a little bit? Like, I keep going back to the thing is that with Margarito against Mosley, is that he knew that if I was going to stay on the perimeter that whole time, like, I'm going to be probably using up maybe 4 times as, as much as like the distance that I'm going to be going is probably going to be about 4 times as much as that person who's chasing me, who's on the inside perimeter of that, right? So similar to when Cotto kind of like gave out, and with illegal, padding aside and everything, it was a certain point that he was effective, but at a certain point, like, they start to kind of give out a little bit, right? You don't think?
Well, I would tell y'all, man, always, to me, always take a look at what, like, especially after a fight. It's like, what was what? Like, believe what your eyes saw. And what I'm getting at is, in the earlier rounds, when he was moving, the boy won 4 rounds for moving. He outboxed that dude. And
Made him look bad too.
especially when the guy was not using his damn jab. So preparing Plant, I would have said, run, Joker, run. Let's sprint, let's swim, let's get them calves right, because you're going to have to be on your bicycle all damn night, right? And
Man.
want to push him back. And you guys got to remember, pushing back necessarily don't always mean I'm on that inside and I'm bumping. Sometimes I might, instead of turning on that dime, hell, I might step with that damn 1-2, close that distance, bam, drop that brick hand on you and be on the inside. So I can push a man back with that jab and get that respect.
Exactly. And even like a jab to the midsection and all that, but just to kind of something to cut off his momentum and then make him restart, you know what I'm saying? And every time, like make him, you know, everybody has a little kind of thing that they do, you know, but make them restart. Fuji, the favorite fight fan, he brought up the fight against Mayweather and Diego Corrales, which was, I mean, you know, this was a sublime performance, but Mayweather, you know, he was effective in tying up, you know, that lead left hook jumping out, but he would also make Diego restart, right? He would jab him to the stomach.
Yeah, that jab to the pit of Corrales.
Yeah, that jab to the pit.
Really, really bothersome.
Yeah, it squared him up, and then he would have to kind of restart his offense over and over. And it just, what you want to do like that's that train. You want to stop it from going downhill, right? So every time you got to make them reset. But man, but I think that's a topic that we should explore anyway. Like the best way, the best kind of strategies in fighting, you know, pressure fighters. But before we get too long in the tooth, I want to talk about the next steps for the next logical steps for Benavidez. One thing I will say is that your boy Jamal Charlo, was doing some pre-fight interviews and stuff. And
oh my God,
but he said, you know, he's like, I want the winner, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I'm at the fight and everything. But he predicted that Caleb Plant was going to win. And then after the fight, he was not talking that noise. I don't know. He might have been, you know, had a little sauce in his system, but
he always does. Whenever he leaves the house, he's got, I don't, whatever. He's looking for Andrade now. He wants to be we shouldn't take this guy seriously until he decides to take himself seriously, is my position on Jamal Charlo.
So what's next for Benavidez, with that said?
Next for Benavidez is to me, it's either we've seen that the WBA is going to attempt to order a fake unification between Morrell and Benavidez, is what is being reported. So I don't think PBC wants that. I think that's a very, very, very risky fight for Benavidez, and if he loses to Morrell, you ruin an opportunity for a Canelo fight. So if I'm Benavidez, man, I would honestly take on a mandatory, is what I would do. I wouldn't play around with any of them dudes, Morrell, Andrade, any of them guys. I wouldn't risk it. I really wouldn't.
So you hold out for the fight against Canelo?
Yeah, I'm looking at that's my short answer for right now. You've got the year, right? It has been ordered. So the WBC hasn't ordered anything yet. You've got the time to sit and wait. I would not risk getting in there with a Morrell or an Andrade. There's Christian and even in Bealing. Maybe in Bealing. That's a fun fight. That's a real fun fight with Mbili. So maybe that's the answer. Now, Mbili has got some kind of promotional relationship with I believe DAZN is who showed his last fight against Gongora. So I don't know if that fight is makeable, but there's this guy Akhmedov at number 4. I've never seen him fight before. But you want to play it safe. You want to play it safe.
Okay.
Morrell.
What about you?
That's not too risky.
What are your thoughts on how would you if this was somebody that was in your stable, how would you steer this steed?
Who is that to, Professor?
To you, Coach. Yeah.
Oh,
so what's next
okay.
with David
Yeah.
Benavidez?
Yeah. So I agree with Jarrod on just taking it safe. Now I do think that he'll beat Andrade. I do think he'll beat Morrell.
I think so too.
But
Morrell.
yeah. But with it, if this has made him Canelo's mandatory or whatever, you ain't got to do nothing to up the ante. And, you know, I don't like talking about money. You know, if Canelo possibly might become that mandatory, you know, there ain't nothing you need to do to fight another fighter or whatever to say, let me up my purse, blah, 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 blah. So I like what Jarrod said in terms of taking that Christian Membley guy, Carlos Gongora. I don't know who these guys are with, you know what I'm saying? But I would absolutely hold out, you know, on taking something dangerous. And the thing about it, and I just want to add this too, it's almost at a point now where, because Canelo maybe knocked off so many people, man, it might be almost at a point to where we might be forced to get these good fights. I mean, to be honest with you, man, I mean, Plant done lost to Canelo, done lost to this guy. Plant about to become like Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? You know, you great, you're willing to fight everybody, but you hitting these jokers like Spence and Crawford, and you just, you know, not saying he a gatekeeper or a stepping stone, whatever, but something is happening there with that guy. You know, Jacobs, you know, then got lumped up by Canelo as well. So, you know, we just kind of, you know, Zach Parker or whatever, you know, it's just.
And then even with Charlo, you don't even think that Charlo would take that fight.
Right. So it's kind of like you got, you know, like it go, and that to me that goes towards Jarrod's argument of just kind of, hey, let's just wait, see, hold it up. If we got to take a scrub, because Canelo's saying, you know, a year, 18 months or whatever, then we'll take a scrub. But other than that, I play it safe and wait and get that 10 million, guaranteed 10 million to fight that boy probably. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be more than that.
But well, I know, I'm just, you know, I'm not money.
Yeah.
I leave that to y'all. I'm just guessing, you know.
All right, the casual one. Go ahead and kind of round out this segment.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I see this as almost like the situation at the 147. If I was Benavidez, I'll sit on my hands for a second, as long as I can. They called out Canelo for September, but we have to see what Canelo says. But you run into the case where like Boost Ennis signed to fight somebody, and then Crawford come back around and like, see, he ain't want to fight me because he did this and this and this. So to avoid that at 168, if Benavidez has the ability to sit on his hands for a while and pretty much force Canelo to fight, you know what I'm saying? Because if Canelo keeps the belt, he's getting ready to get pressed. He may get pressed on every angle besides the IBF. So right now, May, he's going to fight John Ryder. Then WBA, he got David Morrell. WBC, he got Benavidez. And IBF is nobody. So
no, IBF is Willie's school.
Yeah, school.
IBF is
nobody's going to really give you the money for the school fight. So what I'm saying though is if they sit on their hands, pretty soon, like we've been saying this for a while, but it might finally come true where he can't run anymore at 168. You know what I'm saying? I don't think.
Well, he don't have to run. He can just vacate. He just vacate.
So that's just as good as to me. I mean, if you vacate, you get the fuck out the weight division and stop jumping these guys or fight these guys. So if I was Canelo, I would vacate and pull a Mayweather for the rest of my career. And I mentioned that before.
You mean pull a? I thought you meant strategically retire. Because I think that's a possibility.
Because his name is strong enough. Canelo's name is strong enough to get pay-per-views, sell out arenas. he don't have to fight the biggest, baddest in the division anymore. He can just pick and choose, but as long as he doesn't have those belts, as long as he has them belts, he's gonna have to fight the top dogs. But if he vacate, which is, you know what I'm saying, no shame to be like, hey man, I had these belts, there's nothing higher I can do at 168. I'll let him go and fucking just prize fight.
I mean, there ain't a whole lot of prize. I mean, you got the Berlanga fight, but outside of Berlanga, there ain't a whole lot.
That's not a fight.
But that's at 168. You looking at did you look at 175?
Yeah, 175. It ain't. I mean, you've got Beterbiev and Bivol.
Canelo is not 175. I mean, he's not. Those guys are out there. I mean, those guys can really do some.
I mean, you can catch weight at 160. I mean, he got options. He got way more options if he vacate than if he sit there and just be a fighter, be a man about. I mean, like, come on.
No, that's out of the question.
But I just don't understand.
We didn't say that.
I just don't understand
Mayweather either.
Encourage that somebody. Well, like I don't like the Mayweather comparison. I don't understand it. How? I mean, so Mayweather, when he came back, he fought Victor Ortiz when Victor Ortiz was a viable opponent, and Victor Ortiz had a belt. He fought, he was fighting people like Sugar Shane Mosley. This guy wasn't just fighting these run-of-the-mill.
That wasn't towards the end. I'm talking about towards the end. His last 5 fights.
That was towards the end. Last 5 fight in reverse was what? Berto, limited fighter at best. And then he fought Maidana twice. Like
Maidana was a limited fighter at best. That was
McDonald was a
like you giving him credit, it's just like
147.
we giving Pitbull Cruz credit for fighting.
Who was he avoiding at that time? I mean, who had belts? Who was he avoiding?
I mean, the guys. Everyone's going to say Thurman was calling them out. People are going to say guys like Porter. The Porters will swear up and down that they could never ever get a shot at Mayweather.
Porter wasn't up there. That Thurman was like, that was just laughable, man. That was just like a payday. But guys who were, I mean,
how is that laughable? Thurman to beat any of the dudes that you just mentioned?
I don't think so.
I've heard those arguments made that he wouldn't entertain a fight with Thurman. So that's one name. That's one name in particular. But to Randy's point, vacate and you want to pick and choose guys, go ahead and pick and choose guys. I don't know who you're going to pick because there's nobody sexy on here between 168 and 175.
But let's not get too much attention to Canelo, right? This was really about Benavidez. Was his natural. So according to the Bleacher Report, they had the next 5 most possible fights for Benavidez, and of course, number 1 was Canelo Alvarez, 2 was David Morrell, 3 was Jamal Charlo, 4 was Demetrius Andrade, and actually 5 was they had him going up to 175 and taking on Beterbiev. But I mean, those are all tantalizing fights that I wouldn't mind seeing. But he, from his own words, he wants either Canelo or Charlo. So those guys.
Charlo is definitely not going to step.
Charlo said it. Charlo was on tape that said, the reason I'm here at the fight is I want the winner.
Yeah.
Caleb
he might not have a choice. Charlo may not have a choice. Al and his handlers, those guys who write him checks, are probably saying, "Hey, man, what
he does? What are you gonna do? That one, you saying a dude at the weight division lower ain't got no choice? He's at 160.
Who's he gonna fight at 160?
Man, he's voiced that he wants to move up, but I mean, we don't want to stay too long. But
until he vacate them belts.
Why are you always looking for ways for the fighters to get out of fights? I don't
I'm
understand.
just saying, you trying to say he ain't got no choice, but he ain't
No,
even
but
in that.
if you come,
What other fighter y'all saying that he ain't got no choice but to fight somebody that's in the next division than him? That makes no sense. He's the champion at 160.
Right, but Randy, he wants to
is
get
he?
paid. He wants to get paid a lot of money, from what I understand,
I
from what's
understand
talked about. And the money he wants, Randy, he's not going to get that fighting Carlos Adames and Machai Soletsky and Mirim Nursultanov and those guys. Jaime Munguia is not an option. He won't fight Lara. Golovkin won't fight him. This guy Falcao is signed to Top Rank. So who are you gonna fight that's gonna give you the money? This guy Jeanbeck is signed to Top Rank. So if you want to get the money that Jamal Charlo
I'm just
wants,
saying,
who does he fight?
He's a 160 fighter. And until he goes to 168, I'm considering him the champion at 160.
He hasn't fought at 160 in almost 2 years.
So, I mean, but so that's the same. So that's the same discussion we just having with Benavidez. If Canelo don't want to fight him, why? So that's what I'm getting at. Y'all just said y'all gave this whole thing for Benavidez. If Charlo don't fight him, why don't he just go up to go fight fucking Benavidez?
But listen, listen,
the Top Rank.
But listen, like, so Randy, but these are his own words. He's like, I'm reading it. All right. This is the showtime. I'm not out here for no reason. I'm out here scoping. I'm looking. I'm about to see exactly what they do tomorrow. So everybody want to know, would Charlo come up to 168 and be a super middleweight? Yeah, I would. Let's see what they do. I always had the opportunity to fight either one of these guys, but those fights never happened. So this is him putting himself out there. Like, he's saying that he wants these fights. And then all of a sudden, because he picked Benavidez to lose, and then when Plant, doesn't get the win, then all of a sudden it's just like, well, why is he going to do that fight? Why are you talking? Why are you out there scoping?
Hey.
Let me, Dave, how you think
Charlo? I don't
think
think he's going to do that fight. I still don't. I think he can get whacked.
Charlo, if you had Charlo, Dave, how does Charlo do against Benavidez?
He loses.
He's better, or does he do better or worse than Plant?
He does much better than Plant. He has a better chance at. I think his conditioning is better than Plant, to be honest with you. His ability to box and stay on that outside and to crack, So I think he loses, but I think he loses because, unlike Plant, I think that pride and arrogance to get in there with this boy gonna rumble with Benavidez, man, and it's just, he has a much better chance at beating him than Plant. And Charlo can box, man, on that outside, man. The boy can box. I say what you want to say. Them boys tight, they're long jab. That boy can box. If he can frustrate and stay on that outside and crack when he has to crack. But I just don't see that attitude and that pride and that bad blood and just the long time hope deferred for such a fight to happen. I just think he plays into Benavidez' hands, man, and gets punished down the road.
Well, just know that the next time he steps in the ring, it would be 2 years, over 24 months. So he needs to do something at this point, as they say, either hop off the
pot. Right.
All right. So next is let's give just a few minutes to talk about the controversial decision that was Chris Colbert, who won. It was actually a unanimous decision against Rayo. And so let's just kind of have all of the pundits kind of weigh in on there. I didn't score the fight. I didn't have Chris winning, but just passing the eye test. But we'll start with the casual one. What did you think? Did you have Chris Colbert winning this fight against?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, he was shook from the go, and then what I'm saying, Buddy was just eating those jabs and walking them down, and he didn't look good at all at not one point. But yeah, he was robbed. That's all I got to say with that one.
Yes, and across the board, it was scores of 95, 94, 95, 90. Oh, yeah, all three judges had a 95 and 94 in there. Coach,
The big. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
It was sad, man. It was Rob, man. It's what make boxing, suck the way that it suck. It just, I struggled to get that joker 2 rounds, man. Like Kazaran said, honestly, I struggled to get that cat 2 rounds. Dude got knocked down. Dude got buzzed, dazed a whole lot. It just, there needs to be something, man, where when it's such a uproar from the people to where you can really go back and look at that thing and just hold those judges accountable, man. But hey, it's boxing, man. It's boxing. It's
And so he like you said, he got dropped, he got rocked several times. And we do want to say that he did come up. This fight was at lightweight. So he's been a champion, I believe, at featherweight. But Bosston, Jarrod, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I'll say this: I did not score it. I didn't watch the whole fight. I caught the end of round 4 and watched all the way through round 10. It looked like a close fight to me. That being said, I'll say this: scoring criteria for boxing: it's clean, hard punching, effective aggression, ring generalship, and defense. So just because a guy's getting rocked or hurt, that's not the whole picture. That's 1/4 of the scoring criteria. So just for the people out there listening, just because Chris Colbert went down in round 1, that's 1-10-8 round.
No, bro. You said you didn't watch the whole fight. You said you didn't watch.
I didn't watch the whole fight. I didn't watch the whole fight.
Hey, look. Hey, then you can't. Honestly, bro, I got to stop you right there, then, bro.
All right.
He got his ass whooped, and
right.
everything that you name about the scoring, this kid executed excellently. He whooped that boy's ass, man.
All right. So, well, Dave, in them rounds I watched, I didn't see him whipping Colbert's ass. Definitely not them last 3 rounds. Colbert was walking him down. The kid wasn't throwing punches. He had his hands down by his waist. So cool, fine. I didn't watch the whole fight, but them 4 rounds though, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 that I did watch, there wasn't nobody getting their ass whooped.
Wait. But who did you score? Who do you say won those rounds though, Jarrod?
I didn't score. So I can't say. I don't want to tell you.
So you can't give me that it looked back alpha visual. Who won the round?
I'm not telling you that. Visually to me, the last 2 or 3 rounds I gave to Colbert, this kid threw 4 or 5 punches.
Then you want to judge it. You
can't win it. You can't win a fight just throwing 2 or 3 punches. This kid Rayo, and I tell you what, Rayo was fighting like a guy who thought he was ahead. And we've seen guys fight like that before, and they get, oh my, I can't believe it. You sprint through the finish line is what I always tell people. And again, the only reason I threw that criteria out there is because I listen to a lot of these YouTube boxing personalities, and they say stuff like, he hurt him more. He looked this way, or he looked that way. They don't ever cite any of the 4 scoring criteria. So that's the only reason why I said that, is as an FYSA for the people out there listening. That's all I said. I'm gonna go back and watch this fight, and I'm gonna score it. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because I really want to see how this robbery that y'all are talking about.
Yeah, Buddy was wobbly like every round going to his corner. Like,
all right, but
who
who did better defensively? Who had better ring generalship?
Bro,
now,
no. Ask me.
Whoever.
Bro, on everything, the dude beat Colbert, bro. Everything that you name, he beat Colbert. Ring generalship, bro. He had the spacing, knew where he was at to the point to where, and closed the distance enough to where he rocked this guy. Give me your next criteria.
Defense.
He didn't fall. He didn't go down. I need to take a look at damn box, at copy box. I'm telling you, he outpunched and he beat this dude. All right. What's your next one? Give me the next
Well, I got the CompuBox up, and so total punches. Colbert was outlanded 132 to 124. Venezuela outthrew him 610 to 544. Colbert was overwhelming winner when it came to jabs. He landed 47 of 288. When Rayo landed on
Wait. Don't give me that look, Jared. Don't give me
What?
that look.
of
Don't give me that
261.
look when you tell
You
me.
know, Dave,
No,
you the one that said
but you-
CompuBox.
But
Dave,
listen,
you the
though,
one that
bro,
said CompuBox.
but don't give me that look and tell me you can't go off of one thing. Who gives a fuck jab? Your boy just named off 2 or 3 different variations of punches that where your boy was winning.
Okay, but Dave, what the punches landed was what, Cam?
132 to 124.
That's not some ass whooping. 132 to 124
It
is not an ass
is
whooping.
if 60% of your punches are jabs compared to the other person throwing like 60-70% power punches.
Yeah, and
You
then
say so.
power punches were 117 to 77 in the favor of Venezuela.
Now that's a big difference. But
Bro,
that's
I'm
clean.
telling
That's
you, he got
clean.
his ass
That's clean
whooped.
hard punching. That's clean hard punching. Again, that's clean hard punching. That's 25% the scoring criteria.
But why
I'll go back and watch the fight.
Yeah, we'll go back and watch.
Okay.
It seemed like just from the eye test that Rayo was winning, but you got to remember, like they scored. It's a 10-round fight, and you don't get extra points unless you knock that person down. But clearly the first round went to him. Colbert got rocked again in the last round, and I think in round 6 he was also hurt. But as a casual one said, man, it was probably about at least 3 or 4 rounds where this dude was, you were feeling like he might not even make it out of the fight.
Let me ask you this: does CompuBox give you the round by round breakdown of those punches?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when was the majority of those punches? Was it in the first half of the fight, or was it evenly distributed throughout the fight for Valenzuela?
It was kind of even. So there was definitely a kind of a low. Well, for some reason in the 5th round, for example, he only landed 6 punches to 8 on Colbert, but and they only threw about 40 something punches in there. But then, well, in the 5th round, but then in the 6th round, he cranked it up. He landed 23 out of 78. And that was a round that he also hurt him, but then came back in the 7th round.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a close, and I think one thing that hurt him was in that 9th round, he only landed 4 out of 51 punches. So if you only put your hands on a guy 4 times in a round, it's hard to, and then Colbert landed 17 punches in that round.
But that's just one round.
Yeah, that's just one round. But yeah, it's definitely something, we need to view.
He started one. That goes to Jarrod's point, because he started playing it. You know how he was just kind of leaning.
Yeah.
That absolutely goes to Jarrod's point.
All right, so we're going to end with the pundit picks. We have a bit of a crossroads fight. As soon as I unfreeze, and I'm back. We have a bit of a crossroads fight for your man, AJ, Anthony Joshua, who is taking on Jermaine Franklin, who is, you always have a problem with fighters who basically make their name off of a good loss. But that's essentially what Jermaine Franklin has been able to do. He fought Dillian White to a very close decision loss, where I thought Dillian looked terrible, almost over the hill in this fight. And then instead of going for that rematch against Dillian White, he decided to take on his defeated foe. This is the 3rd trainer in as many fights for Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
No, I take that back, because he was with two fights with Garcia, or just one?
I thought it was just one with Garcia.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So this is definitely somebody who's searching for something. He might be looking for love in all the wrong places at this time, but right now he is stateside. He might have made his way back across the pond, but he's been training in Houston with your boy Derek James. And we'll start with the casual one. So just give us your quick thoughts on this fight, and we'll keep our focus on Joshua and where he's at, and then give us your pundit pick for this weekend.
So I think that him signing with James is a good look. I mean, James, if you look at James fighters, they're somewhat defensive minded. Spence is defensive minded. Charlo. So that it's a better fit than like going with what was Pacquiao trainer, Roach, or the last one, all these offensive minded type guys, and hopefully they slim them down. Well, not slim them down, but not make them look like Adonis out there full of muscle, like he's going to be on the Creed 4 movie or some shit.
So let me ask you something real quick. So you think that his flaws in his last 2 losses against Usyk was his defense?
I just think his whole style, like a defensive style, like a defensive first style as a heavyweight, is something that you rarely don't see. I think most heavyweight fighters are mostly like offensive first.
Yeah.
So and then like especially against Usyk ain't got that one hitter quitter. So if you defensive minded, you can avoid some of that punishment Usyk was giving him, and then like shed some of that muscle mass, and then not gas out towards the end. I mean, I think James will give him a whole different fundamental of boxing. The only other trainer I would rather him see him go to is like somebody out the Crunk gym. So I think going to James was the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't argue with that. I think that I think he was trying to box too much. I thought he should have just been he should have fought as a big heavyweight. He should have been. So I think you're right. I think he should have took some notes from your boy Sugar, Sugar Hill, and be dirty, grab on Usyk.
Yeah, and so none of James' fighters are straight boxers. They can bang with your ass too. So I think overall, James doing well, but by being in that camp.
So what's your pick? So the odds. So if you,
I think he's gonna knock his ass out.
Okay.
I think this is the coming out party for Joshua, and he's gonna look good.
So if you want to win $100 on Joshua, you just need to put up 1,100. He's a minus, so he's almost a 10-1. Well, he's more than a 10-1 favorite, and then Jermaine Franklin is plus 760. So $100 bet on him will get you back $760. So Bosston Jarrod, give us your views on where Joshua is right now, particularly mentally, and then give us your pundit pick.
Well, if I could tell you where he was mentally, I'd be able to make a lot of money being able to diagnose a cat like that. It's tough to say with a guy like that as far as where he is mentally. The guy's coming off of back-to-back losses against a really, really credible, really, really tough opponent. I think this is the perfect confidence building type of opponent that he needs. I don't want to call him a soft touch. I don't know much about Jermaine Franklin, but I think this is the ideal opponent. I had been banging the drum for Zhili Zhang for a while. My thought was that you got a guy who needs a soft touch. He's coming back, but you want a guy who's going to be motivated. This is a guy who's used to a lot of fanfare, a lot of publicity, a lot of hubbub. And I thought that a fight against Zhili Zhang in Hong Kong or something like that would have had the fanfare to keep him motivated, to keep him sharp, to keep the cameras in his face, to really motivate him. I don't know that a Jermaine Franklin does that for him. I read something where they were having a tough time actually selling tickets for this fight. So that's something that's probably going to be in the back of his head. But this is the type of guy he needs. And we had a couple shows that we talked about him jumping into right back into a risky fight. And I never thought that was a good idea for Anthony Joshua. So without having seen Jermaine Franklin, a lot of him or much of him at all, I think this is the perfect confidence building fight for Anthony Joshua.
What's your prediction though? Like KO?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Joshua. I'm gonna go with Joshua by KO. It's tough for me to see the powers that be allowing Anthony Joshua to lose 3 times in a row. I just don't see it. He's too much of a commodity. The guy's 29 years old or something like that. 28, or is he a little bit older than that? Point is that gravy train is still rolling. Still plenty of money left to be milked out of this cash cow here. He ain't losing 3 times in a row.
All right, so Joshua is actually 33, and Jermaine Franklin is actually only 29 years old.
Interesting. Okay.
So, Coach,
Yeah,
we'll go
man.
with you. Just what are your thoughts on Anthony Joshua, where he's at in his career, and do you like the fact that he's with his 3rd coach in as many fights?
I wish he was not, man. I mean, I'm just one that's all about that loyalty, man. I just think on the mental one, though, I go ahead on and try to play, psychic or mind reader, man. I don't know if this guy's all the way there or not. But one of the things I will say, man, and I think to Jarrod is because I love to get Jarrod's take on it, man. I want you to go back and watch about 2. Matter of fact, man, watch at least 2 fights of this guy that he's fighting, man. And Eddie, put, Terry Harper in there with doggone, Alicia Baumgartner. Eddie ain't one that's really, he's trying to say the cash cow, but he'll let you know, hey, this might be a risky fight, man, but we got to do what we got to do. So I do think the perfect matchup is the perfect, it's the best that he can get to where they try to get him somebody to walk by. But this guy punches, man. When I say this guy punches, like Andy Ruiz caught that joker with that old crazy wild hook and then that looping right hand. This guy, that's what he reminds me of. He reminds me of a bigger, Andy Ruiz. Maybe not as skilled with the hands, but the fluidity and how much he throws, that makes me say this fight could go 50-50, bro. I'm saying this fight could go 50-50. I'm saying that and the only thing that would change it, and let me be crystal clear, if Joshua get touched a little bit early on, if he ain't mentally right, Joshua gonna get his ass knocked out again. Now, with that said, they got him set up. They got it set up perfectly, man. I think he's fighting in the same spot where he first won the title. They doing everything they could do to hey, let's go.
Everything in his favor, yeah.
But what I would love for you guys to do is to just take a look at this guy that he's fighting, and then just imagine a Joshua that's not there mentally, and then gets get an oh shit moment when he get caught. This guy punches enough up and down, body and head, to where he could catch Joshua sleeping. So if we had my prediction on it, though, to be honest with you, I want Joshua to win, but I'm gonna say his ass gonna get. I think he's done because he's trying to fight for that damn legacy. Remember what I told y'all? Loot a legacy, right? He's scrapping to try to get something with Usyk, something with Fury, something. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, 3 strikes you out. I'm going for the damn underdog, bro. I'm going for damn.
You might be right. I mean, you got Franklin, even though he is not well known, he is a for a heavyweight, he's a combination puncher. He's not the he's not the body beautiful like of Josh, so he's not going to impress you in that. But he has pretty good stamina, and if Joshua, thing I'll say, if Joshua's head is not all in there for this fight, then it could be a long night. They are fighting at the O2 Arena. in London, England. So this is, this is just something to get, we want Joshua to feel comfortable, to feel good about himself. He's somebody that has to have his ego stroked in that way. So, but if they, lose out, if he loses out on this, Eddie Hearn's cash cow, particularly for DAZN, is going to be an issue. He's, Joshua in 2017, it was rated like the second most marketable. Oh no, actually he was rated as the most marketable athlete, ahead of Steph Curry. This was like in 2017. This is really at the kind of at the height of his popularity, and he's taken since then, he's lost 3 of his last 5 fights, and has really struggled with confidence issues. I think it's a chance, but I'm gonna go with Joshua with the 10-round KO. I think he understands that this is his last chance, but the only thing I'm scared of is just that it's gonna be one of those fluke punches on top of the head, and Joshua doesn't really
and Derek
deal with
James
adversity well.
And Derek James, to my knowledge, does not have any chinny fighters. I mean, if you think about guys like Charlo and Spence, I'm not sure about the kid Frank Martin. I've never seen Frank Martin get caught clean like that. But Charlo and Spence have granite chins, which enable them to fight the way they fight at times, especially a guy like Spence. He's able to take a good shot. And I don't know if Derek James stylistically is going to be able to give Joshua a way to fight that's going to be both effective and protect his chin at the same time. We'll see. This will be the ultimate test of Derek James' coaching ability. Maybe not Jermaine Franklin, but maybe not against a guy like Jermaine Franklin. But if he's able to rehabilitate a guy like Anthony Joshua and put him back at the top of the heavyweight division, that to me will be the crown jewel of Derek James' coaching career. Despite all the other accolades he's got with the fighters in his stable, I think this will be it. This will be like his the Sistine Chapel for him. He Anthony Joshua,
his masterpiece
again. Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So we're closing in on that. We are kind of committed to keeping our show nice and tight, at 1 hour running time. But we got a couple of minutes, and I just want to stay with you, Bosston Jarrod, because this is something that you can go back and look at the tape. But you've been saying that Canelo's team has been working towards a fight with John Ryder, and then lo and behold, on Cinco de Mayo, we have Canelo Alvarez, who is fighting John Ryder in Guadalajara, Mexico, his hometown.
Guadalajara, Jalisco. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah. So, give us your kind of initial, thoughts on this. We won't stay too much longer on that, but I'm not really excited about this fight at all. I've seen John Ryder, I'm not really impressed by what he does, but you seem to have known that this fight was on the horizon.
Yeah. I'm not gonna act like it was some genius prediction. I know a guy. I've been told for months in advance that this is the fight that they were angling for. Now, John Ryder had to do his part, right? He had to beat Danny Jacobs. Then he had to go over to Queensberry, and he had to beat Zach Parker. So if those two things didn't happen, Ryder's not in a position. Also, Andrade dropped out of the Parker fight. So there was a lot of stuff that had to happen in order for him to get in this position. But I was told from months and months that this was the fight that they were angling for. Now, the one thing that I was told months ago that didn't happen, this was going to be a fight in the UK. And after Canelo's last couple of performances, I was told the numbers for that last fight with Golovkin and with Bivol. they ain't good. They're not good. The gate wasn't what they expected, and that was part of the reason why this fight ended up in Mexico. I was also told that this fight is going to be on regular DAZN. It's not going to be a pay-per-view DAZN. And the tickets for this fight are very, very reasonably priced for the Mexican audience. Now, all that business stuff out of the way, let me say this. I do think that John Ryder is going to surprise people with how competitive he is in this fight. Really? I think, yeah, I absolutely. Ryder is a sturdy, durable guy who's been in the division for a lot longer than Canelo has, I think. He is a pressure fighter by nature. And the one thing that Canelo Alvarez does not like is to fight at a pace that he cannot control. And I don't think that Ryder is going to be easy to be dictated to. I don't think he's going to be bothered initially by Canelo's power. I think he's going to be able to move Canelo around the ring a little bit. And if Canelo gets a little too cute and tries to the two-step and Ali shuffle and shit like that, he's going to find himself sucking wind in the last third of this fight. And it's going to be a lot more competitive than I think he and his team would like for it to be. That being said,
I don't competitive than I think also.
Yeah, I know. I think this is going to be a relatively entertaining and competitive fight. I don't give John Ryder any chance in hell at winning this fight at all. But I do think it's going to be a lot more competitive and fan friendly than people are anticipating. I think it's going to be a better to watch than the B-ball fight.
Well, I mean, the B-ball was good just for the it had drama in there because we had never really seen Canelo in that position since he fought a Mayweather. But and this got put on a lot more damage than Mayweather did, in my opinion. But with that said, we are right at our time, so we are going to sign off. We are glad to have y'all back with us. We thank everybody for still rocking with us. We're getting, we're looking okay with the subs. We definitely want to get them up. So make sure that you do press like and make sure that you subscribe to this channel. The pundits are back. And this is your boy, Professor Nim, signing out for the Casual Rand.
Peace.
Bosston Jarrod.
Peace.
And Coach Dave.
Yep.